Hey everyone, JD here, CEO of Sight for White and White Sense. Had quite an adventurous day today. I went to meet with a group of my peers who represent organisations supporting visually impaired individuals across the country. Didn't know quite what to expect with this meeting, and it turned out to be really well received. So I had a really nice welcome, got to meet some really passionate and interesting people who are doing great works in their community, and I feel like this is a very recurring theme for me. But I feel so privileged to have a great group of peers to bounce ideas back and forth from. Also as well, just to acknowledge and apologise to any of you that made it to our coffee morning on Wednesday. For any of you that were there, you would have noticed it was very busy in our building and generally around on our site. We had our gardener in who was laying the groundworks for our new sensory garden coming up. So really exciting stuff, another great step forward. And we had a range of board and committee meetings happening on the day, as well as having you all there. So apologies for any noise, and parking was not fun to contend with. That being said, I think that is it from me for now, but as always, lovely to speak to you all. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. I'm getting to that point now where I'm finishing up with my board reports for this quarter, and then it's just the Christmas fun and festivities to be had. So until then, I will continue to work hard, and yes, I will see you all very soon. Take care.
This week's charity news of the week, the 14th of November 2025. Swimming at Medina is on Monday between 1:15 and 2 p.m. We have the whole pool, so whether you wish to swim lanes or just have gentle exercise in the pool, you will be made very welcome. The cost is £6 and transport is available, although it's limited. All members are very welcome to join.
There will be no yoga until the new year due to volunteer unavailability.
Coffee and chat is on Wednesday starting at 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. The cost is £2 to include drinks and cake. Staff are on hand to help with any queries and to demonstrate equipment.
Mix and Mingle is on Thursday at Millbrook House. We have a waiting list for this group, but if you're interested, please call the office to put your name down.
Our Christmas cards are also available, selling fast this year with several designs already being sold out. They are only £3.50 per packs of 10, so once again please call the office if you wish to order.
Our annual Christmas raffle is underway, and we thank everyone who has already returned their raffle tickets. Prizes are arriving at Millbrook House, but we are always grateful of any prizes anyone wishes to donate. If you would also like more tickets, please do not hesitate to call the office, and we can send more books out in the post. The draw takes place on December the 10th during our festive morning.
Once again, we will be displaying a Christmas tree at the Isle of Wight Pearl during the month of December. This year we have decided to decorate it with old recycled spectacles, and we are asking for all volunteers, members and staff to decorate a pair in any fashion you like. We will also be setting up a table at Coffee and Chat and Mix and Mingle so members can decorate a pair whilst at Millbrook House. We ask that all decorated pairs are returned to Millbrook by November the 21st.
We are once again running a Warner's break in April next year, as advertised in the newsletter. So if you're interested in joining us, please call the office and put your name down. If you would like to discuss it further, please call and speak to Susan.
Operation Clean and Safe, launched to enforce public space protection orders, from the Island Echo, read by Joyce. A new initiative aimed at cleaning up public spaces and curbing antisocial behaviour has been rolled out in Newport, with other island towns set to follow. Operation Clean and Safe is being led by the Isle of Wight Council's Public Realm Officer team, working in partnership with the West Wight Neighbourhood Policing Team. The operation will see officers enforcing public space protection orders, PSPOs, legal measures that allow councils to tackle antisocial behaviour in public areas, and tackling environmental offences such as dog fouling, dogs off leads in restricted areas, and littering. Newport is the first town to be targeted with patrols already underway in key locations, including St James's Square, Church Lytton, and the bus station. Officers from the Council and Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary will be on hand to engage with residents and visitors, encourage responsible behaviour, and issue fixed penalty notices where required. Councillor Karen Lucioni, who chairs the Council's Environment and Community Protection Committee, has said, Operation Clean and Safe is a practical step towards improving the quality of our public spaces. We're working with our partners to make sure people take responsibility and that our town centres can remain places people feel proud of. Natasha Dix, Service Director for Waste, Environment and Planning, adds, Operation Clean and Safe is about more than enforcement. It's about pride in our island. We all have a role to play in keeping our public spaces clean, safe and enjoyable for everyone. Whether it's picking up after your dog, using bins properly, or respecting shared spaces, these small actions make a big difference. Our teams are here to support residents, but we will take action where needed. We're working together to make sure our town centres reflect the values we hold as islanders: respect, responsibility and care for our environment. The Council has confirmed that other towns across the island will be included in the operation in the coming months.
This is an article from Isle of Wight Radio, read by Terry. Cows to sparkle with festive fun at Christmas Celebration Day. The heart of Cowes will be bursting with festive spirit later this month as the town hosts its much anticipated Christmas Celebration Day on Saturday the 22nd of November. Organised by Cowes Town Council, the free community event promises a magical day of music, markets, entertainment and Christmas cheer, all leading up to the Christmas lights switch on at 5 p.m. Live music and entertainment will fill the streets from midday, with performances from local musicians, walkabout acts, and a special family lantern glow walk through the town. Pontoon View, 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Enjoy a log fire with toasted marshmallows, roasted chestnuts, mulled wine, mince pies, live music, and a photo opportunity with Father Christmas and his elf. Bar 46, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. A festive evening market featuring artisan stalls, mulled wine, mince pies, and a Christmas barbecue. Local shops from Bath Road to Medina Road will join the celebrations with one-day-only promotions, giveaways and festive treats, perfect for some early Christmas shopping. Cowes Library will also host a Christmas fair from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with homemade produce, a tombola, a guess the weight of the cake competition, and children's craft activities from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Families joining the Lantern Glow Walk should head to the parade at 4:15 p.m. to meet the Grinch, before setting off at 4:30 p.m. The walk will finish at the bottom of Shooters Hill just in time for the Mayor's Christmas lights switch on, accompanied by the Vectis Corps of Drums, marching band and free mince pies. To make things easier, free parking will be available from 12 noon to 6 p.m. at Brunswick Road, Cross Street and the Parade car parks. Councillor Mayor Stuart Ellis, the Cowes Mayor, said, "We're delighted to extend this year's Christmas Lights event into a full day of free entertainment and festive fun. There's something for everyone, from food and shopping offers to live music and family activities. It's a wonderful way to support local businesses and kick off the holiday season in true Cowes style." A window spotting competition will also run from Friday the 15th of November, with entry forms available from Jiverton's, Hurst's and Rosalie's. Completed forms must be returned by Monday the 15th of December for a chance to win special prizes. Visitors from the mainland can take advantage of a special Red Jet Day return fare from Southampton to West Cowes, £13.50 per adult and £6.70 per child.
Captiva Homes lodges plans for 32 more homes next to the Horsebridge Hill. From Isle of Wight Radio, read by Joyce. A total of 32 more houses could be built next to the Horsebridge Hill. Captiva Homes has submitted new plans for housing, a means of access, landscaping and ancillary infrastructure on land at Acorn Farm. The proposed development extends from the Phase 1 site currently under construction, according to E3S Consulting. During the summer, Horsebridge Hill was subject to a one-way system as a result of works relating to the island's largest affordable housing development in a decade from Captiva Homes and Sovereign Network Group at Acorn Farm. Captiva's latest proposal includes 20 houses classed as market housing, 9 as social, affordable or intermediate rent, and a further 3 designated as affordable home ownership, according to the developer's application form. Of the market housing, 9 are 2-bedroom, another 9 have 3 bedrooms, and 2 have 4 bedrooms or more. 5 of the social, affordable or intermediate rent homes are 2-bedroom, 3 have 3 bedrooms, and 1 is with 4 or more bedrooms. There is 1 affordable home ownership property with 2 bedrooms, and another 2 are 3-bedroomed. A draft Section 106 agreement published on the Isle of Wight Council's planning portal includes schedules on affordable housing, habitats, mitigation relating to the Solent Special Protection Areas, and biodiversity offsetting. Section 106 agreements are legal contracts between a developer and a local planning authority entered to mitigate the effects of developments and make them acceptable in planning terms. County Hall's public consultation concludes on December 12th, and a decision is due on February the 6th.
This is an article from the Island Echo, read by Terry. Dysfunctional council under threat of government intervention over chaos at County Hall. An independent review has branded the Isle of Wight Council as dysfunctional, warning of a toxic culture, poor behaviour and failing structures that could lead to government intervention if urgent reforms are not made. The damning 31-page report by governance expert Richard Penn highlights widespread concerns about member conduct, broken officer relationships, weak enforcement of standards, and the failure of the Council's committee system. Penn found that a small but vocal group of councillors have created a hostile environment at County Hall, where behaviour goes unchallenged and staff morale has been seriously undermined. Councillors have openly criticised officers in meetings, on social media and in the press. The report states there are problems currently with the operation of the member-officer interface. Officers are sometimes reluctant to attend meetings with elected members for fear that they will be ridiculed or criticised in public. The report captures the depth of dysfunction through a series of candid remarks. One senior officer described abhorrent behaviour to others and each other during council meetings, while a councillor observed that every skirmish becomes a battle. Another noted that officers are stated as not being competent by people who do not get their own way, with one member bluntly admitting, "If I were an officer, I would have left." Reflecting on the breakdown in trust, a councillor said, "There appears to be a silent and hidden barrier between officers and councillors." The council's working from home policy was also cited as exacerbating problems. One councillor remarked, "County Hall on Fridays is like the Mare Celeste." The report warns that the political structure itself is not functioning. The committee system introduced in May 2025 is described as ineffective, lacking clear direction, and failing to deliver intended benefits. Other serious findings include deep mistrust between councillors and senior officers, disregard for professional, legal and financial advice, delays in implementing agreed council decisions, no formal standards committee to address misconduct, a long-term absence in the monitoring officer role, concerns over the part-time status of the S151 finance officer. Penn makes clear that poor member behaviour is a symptom of wider dysfunction, not the root cause. He said, "The reality is that the council is dysfunctional and has been for several years. Things have to change fundamentally and change quickly if the potential for formal intervention is to be successfully avoided. If the council fails to improve, the government could impose commissioners, initiate a best value inspection, or remove local decision-making powers entirely." Urgent recommendations include creating a standards committee with enforcement powers, strengthening statutory governance roles, enforcing codes of conduct at meetings and online, improving member induction, training and support, rebuilding trust and respect between councillors and officers, reviewing the effectiveness of the committee system itself. In a rare joint statement, Councillor Phil Jordan, leader of the Council and Alliance Group, Councillor Ed Blake, Conservative Group Leader, and Councillor Andrew Garrett, Deputy Leader of the Council and Liberal Democrat Group Leader, welcomed the report and committed to urgent reform. They've said, "The report published today, written by independent consultant Richard Penn, describes the Isle of Wight Council as dysfunctional and in urgent need of changes. The report highlights a series of issues, including a culture of disrespect, hostility, and deflection that has taken hold among a small but vocal number of councillors, whose decisions and actions have helped to erode confidence. This has distracted from the essential work of running the local services the council must deliver, as well as damaging the authority's reputation, both locally and further afield." The report also identifies faults with the officer system, as well as weaknesses in relationships between councillors and officers. It calls for stronger leadership, mutual respect, and a renewed focus on collaboration and accountability. The Council is held in low esteem by many, and a report like this does nothing to reverse such views. Yet the Council is an important element of the island and responsible for many key functions: education, waste, care, etc. So a verdict that it is dysfunctional is of serious concern and clearly indicates that action to change is both necessary and urgent. We need to be trusted and supported by the community. We are pragmatic and know this will never be the view of all, but we must deal with anything that clearly undermines the ability to hold such a view. There must be no attempt by anyone to deflect blame elsewhere. All those who are part of County Hall, whether councillor or officer, must take heed of what is an incredibly powerful and sobering message. As group leaders, we accept the report and will be supporting the recommendations that are contained therein. We call on the other groups and councillors in County Hall to make the same commitment. We are glad that the report has been produced and that the issues it addresses are recognised and highlighted. We are glad to see that concerns many of us have had for some time have been clearly identified. Those that may contest the findings of the report or who seek to sidestep it would be identifying themselves as part of the problem. We must accept the existence of the problems, or they will never be solved. It is abundantly clear there are problems. It is imperative that we do this, as the risks of failing to do so are crystal clear. We have already received a warning letter from government expressing concern about member behaviour. The report makes it clear that continued failures on our part could lead to explicit government intervention. That must be of even greater concern when local government reorganisation is a live issue. Failure to deal with the issues in Mr. Penn's report will put the very existence of the Council at risk. Together, as the leaders of the largest groups in the Council, we will work to ensure that the Council operates properly. Only then can it do the job it is there for, which is to serve the residents, businesses, and the community of the island. Where problems undermine a desire or ability to do that, they must be dealt with, whether those issues are behavioural or organisational. To address this, a key recommendation in the report is the creation of a standards committee, which we wholeheartedly support. This is the moment at which we must reset the Council. Accepting the recommendations in Mr. Penn's report is a first step in a long road to addressing how we operate. Failure to do so could well be a step on what currently seems a short path to the loss of island-based democracy.
This is Lisa reading a Guide Dog newsletter update. Welcome to the autumn edition of the Quarterly Guide Dogs News Roundup. This quarterly newsletter includes an update on guide dog waiting times, the support we can provide while you're waiting to be matched, and a film about how we're making football matches more inclusive. We're also considering setting up a dedicated social media group for current and future guide dog owners, and would like to get your views on whether this is something you'll find useful. Firstly, however, I, Pete, Deputy CEO of Guide Dogs, wanted to share some news of my own. At the end of the year, I'm planning to retire and will be leaving Guide Dogs. It's been wonderful to be part of this amazing organisation for 11 years and to lead on services, but it's time to hand the baton over to somebody else, Victoria Dodd, who joined us around 6 months ago as Director of Guide Dog Services. Victoria will be taking on many of these responsibilities, and you can hear more from Victoria and her plans in the future edition of the October Guide Dogs Live. Guide dog waiting times. Our main priority in 2025 is finding suitable guide dogs for people who've been waiting the longest. This has involved a lot of collaboration between different teams, looking nationally at the dogs who are ready to be matched, identifying puppies being raised, and working with vision rehabilitation colleagues to ensure we are well served with the needs of those people waiting. We've been making good progress on this. Overall, we've qualified 410 new partnerships so far this year as of the 10th of October. Of those, just under half, 46%, have been waiting over 2 years, and a further 32% have been waiting over a year. We also currently have 65 people in class, of which 25 have waited over a year, 15 over 2 years, and 12 over 3 years. We'll be continuing to prioritise long waiters throughout 2026, with staff taking a national approach to finding the right dog for individuals. You can help us with this. In particular, attending a client day is beneficial, as this gives more of the team an opportunity to meet with you and, if you have one, see you working with your current dog. If you're invited to join a client day, please do come along if at all possible, even if you've been to one before. They really can help us with identifying a potential match for you. Please also let us know if anything changes in your own life to ensure that we are using the current, up-to-date information. Extra rehabilitation support. Whilst you're waiting to be matched with a guide dog, our vision rehabilitation specialists, VRSs, can provide support with a range of living skills, from managing around the house and understanding how technology can assist you in your everyday tasks to getting around your local area. If you've not been contacted about this service yet, and it's been more than 6 months since your application for a guide dog was approved, please let us know. Whilst waiting for a dog is never easy, there's lots we can do to help right now. New social media group for current and future guide dog owners. We're always looking at ways to improve our communication with you, and something we don't currently have is a social media group specifically for guide dog owners and those in the process of applying for a guide dog. This could be used by guide dogs to post news, information and advice, in addition to our existing communications, and as a community forum for current and future guide dog owners to interact with each other, share experiences and seek peer-to-peer support. Before we set one up, we'd like to make sure that this is something you'd find useful. If you'd like to share your views, please complete our short survey with just 3 questions at https://forms.office.com/e/y N D D U capital B, small d, 5M. Screen readers users may find it easier to move through the questions using the tab key, or if you prefer to answer the questions over a phone call, please contact the guideline. Details are to follow. Guide Dogs Live. Our October Guide Dogs Live focuses on guide dog services. It includes updates on guide dog waiting times and what we've been doing to find suitable dogs for those who've been waiting the longest, as well as research around whether people with no vision wait longer for a guide dog. Victoria Dodd, who joined us 6 months ago as Director of Guide Dog Services, also shares her aspirations and plans for the future. The 30-minute recorded update can be listened to at YouTube/capital U small x, small n, small t, capital G, small s, number 3, small h, large S, number 7, capital E. After the recording was first shared by email on the 14th of October, an inaccurate comment made in these discussions was brought to our attention. We'd like to apologise for this and explain that whilst Guide Dogs is the largest provider of guide dogs in the UK, and indeed the world, the Seeing Dogs Alliance also provides guide dog services in the UK and is accredited as the International Guide Dog Federation. If you'd like to send us a question on any topic for our next instalment, please email questions@guidedogs.org.uk or call 0118 354 0322 and leave us a voice message. Glide Demo Day. Glide is an in-development mobility aid that uses cutting-edge technology to guide people with a vision impairment. The two-wheel device is pushed along in front of you using AI sensors and robotics to navigate its surroundings. Whilst not on the market yet in Europe, Glide's makers, a company called Glidance, are running an in-person day at the North West Regional Centre in Atherton on the 21st of November for anyone interested in hearing more and trying out this prototype. There is further information on the Glidance, GLIDANCE website. There will also be Glide demos taking place at Sight Village, London during the same week, the 18th and 19th of November. Free registration is available. Taking a lead in the beautiful game. We've been collaborating with football clubs as well as national associations across the UK to make football inclusive for people living with sight loss. Through working with service users to understand what accessibility means to them on match days, we've been able to promote a strong message of inclusion, reaching millions via the press and social media. Our partnership have also included dog puppies becoming familiar with football stadiums and crowds before leading teams out in the centre of the matches. With the football season now in full swing, there's an audio-described video that celebrates our success. https://YouTube/ D small I small s 0 capital D capital Q small p capital V number 2 capital HW. Our online resource for future guide dog owners. A reminder that our dedicated web area for current and future guide dog owners is packed full of information, much of it based on answering the questions our team often get asked. Resources include advice on preparing for a guide dog partnership, tips from our trainers on how to work with your guide dog, keeping your guide dog happy and healthy, and what happens when your guide dog retires. Finding more volunteers. If you'd like us to spread the word about volunteering for guide dogs, we have virtual volunteer information events coming up where anyone interested can hear about becoming a puppy raiser, a dog fosterer, breeding dog holder, or joining a fundraising group. We also provide volunteering champion packs, which include leaflets and posters to share in your local community. Remember, if you need to contact guide dogs, the phone number is 0800 781 1444. That's 0800 781 1444.
Hello there, this is Madeline,
And this is Morris.
and we're reading the second part of the Talking News. The first item is guilty verdict for driver who left man dying. A Land Rover driver who reversed into the path of an oncoming cyclist and caused his death in a catastrophic crash before driving away from the scene was found guilty after a trial at the Isle of Wight Crown Court. On Monday, Timothy Cale was convicted of causing death by careless or inconsiderate driving following a fatal collision in Shorewell on June 5, 2022. It claimed the life of Professor Simon McQueen Mason, 64, a leading academic at the University of York. Cale, who denied wrongdoing throughout his 6-day trial, claimed he believed his car had been hit by a fallen tree branch. But after hearing evidence from multiple witnesses and accident investigators, the jury returned a guilty verdict after less than 4 hours deliberation. The crash occurred at the junction of Main Road and New Barn Lane at a triangular patch known as the Green. Emergency services were called at 10:15 a.m, but Professor McQueen Mason was later pronounced dead at the scene, having suffered catastrophic chest injuries and multiple fractures. During the trial, 59-year-old Cale of Main Road, Shorewell, insisted he did not believe his driving was at fault. He claimed he only realised the truth of what happened when he later went back to the scene. Russell Pine, prosecuting, told the court, "He made a careless manoeuvre. His decision to reverse may have saved him a few seconds, but it led to a catastrophic collision and the loss of life." Witnesses saw Cale driving his Freelander away from the scene with a smashed rear windscreen. Cale even smiled and waved back at one passing couple he knew. One witness, Dave Berryman, heard a scream, followed by the sound of breaking glass a second later. Cale, then owner of Shorewell Village Stores, eventually returned to the scene and told the police he believed the damage to his car was caused by a tree. Cale said he was devastated when told it was a cyclist, maintaining he did not realise a person had struck his car, and said he would have stopped immediately had he known. Instead, his intention was to return to the scene to remove the branch from the road. "I was devastated, total shock," he told the court. "I apologise sincerely. I don't consider my driving as careless." Roadside drug and alcohol tests were negative.
Delivery driver fake sentenced. A man who dressed as a DPD delivery driver to trick shop staff in Newport into handing over parcels has been sentenced for multiple counts of fraud. Alexandru Moldovianu, 27, of Saturn Close in Southampton, appeared before the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on November the 4th, where he pleaded guilty to 6 counts of fraud by false representation. Prosecutor Lauren McConnell said Moldovianu posed as a DPD delivery driver using a uniform he had bought online and entered several shops in Newport over the course of a week in March. Moldovianu visited stores including CEX, EE and O2, asking staff if they had any parcels to be collected or delivered. While most employees found him suspicious and refused to hand anything over, Moldovianu was successful on 2 occasions at CEX, managing to leave with packages containing £670 worth of electrical goods. Mrs. McConnell said the offences demonstrated a degree of planning, as Moldovianu had purchased a DPD uniform to make his deception convincing.
D-Day veteran goes viral. Ireland war hero Alec Penstone went viral across news channels and social media platforms after a powerful appearance on ITV's Good Morning Britain last Friday. The 100-year-old shared an emotional reflection on remembrance and post-war Britain, watched by millions. Alec joined the Royal Navy just before his 17th birthday and served aboard HMS Campania. During the war, he took part in the perilous Arctic convoys, sailing to Russia before his ship was diverted as part of the D-Day landings. In the early hours of June 6, 1944, Alec's vessel provided cover for the Allied invasion fleet, protecting landing craft from German U-boats as the largest seaborne invasion in history unfolded off the coast of Normandy. He later returned to France for the 80th anniversary commemorations of D-Day, where he paid tribute to fallen comrades. Even today, Alec remains an active supporter of the Royal British Legion and continues to sell poppies each year. Alec appeared on the ITV1 morning show alongside members of the wartime musical group the D-Day Darlings. Sitting with presenters Kate Garraway and Adil Ray, Alec was introduced as a war hero. "I can't see anything that I've done, especially that wouldn't have been done by other people of my generation," he said modestly. "I'm just one of the lucky ones. I'm still alive." When asked by Garraway what Remembrance Sunday meant to him, Alec's response left both presenters and viewers emotional. He said, "I can see in my mind's eye rows and rows of white stones, all the hundreds of my friends. They gave their lives. For what? The country of today. I'm sorry, the sacrifice wasn't worth the result. What we fought for was our freedom. We fought for it. Even now, it's a darn sight worse than when I fought for it." Garraway responded, "I'm so sorry you feel like that, because I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery. It's our job now to make it the country that you fought for." Co-presenter Ray added, "We wouldn't be here without you or your comrades."
Doctors' strike will affect care. Health services across the Isle of Wight will be affected over the next 5 days as resident doctors, formerly known as junior doctors, take part in strike action organised by the British Medical Association, the BMA. The industrial action will run from 7 a.m. today, which is Friday, until 7 a.m. on Wednesday as part of a national dispute between the BMA and the government over pay. Health and care partners are working together to minimise disruption and are urging residents to use NHS services appropriately so that those most in need can be treated swiftly. Dr. Lara Alloway, Chief Medical Officer for NHS Hampshire and Isle of Wight, said, "We are working closely with our partners across the local NHS to plan, prepare and mitigate the potential impact on patients, communities and staff. Patient care remains our top priority, and we are doing everything we can to ensure services continue to run as smoothly as possible. Patients with appointments are advised to attend as planned unless contacted to reschedule. Alternative services include pharmacies, urgent treatment centres, Healthier Together and 111 online. Using these options helps keep emergency departments free for those requiring urgent care. Details of available services can be found online via iw.observer/NHS services. For medical help, visit 111.nhs.uk or call NHS 111. Always call 999 in a life-threatening emergency.
Pharmacy branch is struck off. A beleaguered pharmacy branch has been struck off an NHS pharmaceutical list. NHS resolution removed J Hoots Pharmacy in Ventnor after an unsuccessful appeal against Hampshire and Isle of Wight Integrated Care Board's prior removal decision. The body, part of the government's Department of Health and Social Care, said the pharmacy had been closed for a significantly long period and that a good reason was needed as to why a removal was not proportionate and justified. Such reasoning was not considered to have been given in J. Hoot's appeal, NHS resolution said. The pharmacy at 1 Albert Street had been closed since March 2025, except for June the 12th, when a pharmacist was allowed at the premises for a few hours, according to the ICB's decision report on the removal dated July the 15th. The Hampshire and Isle of Wight ICB Pharmaceutical Services Regulations Committee considered the effect on patients and noted that currently patient experience is poor due to the uncertainty of whether the pharmacy will reopen or not, the document said. The committee also noted the inconvenience and disruption patients experience when they cannot obtain their medication from the pharmacy, and the burden this places on the GP practices when they are required to issue new prescriptions. In an August the 15th appeal letter to NHS resolution, J. Hoot's lawyers said the pharmacy had reopened on August the 4th. It said, whilst it is correct that the company had until recently experienced difficulties in relation to staffing of the pharmacy, which unfortunately resulted in the closure of the pharmacy, the company has taken active steps to resolve these. In summary, the company wishes to remain on the pharmaceutical list for the area and is committed to providing pharmaceutical services for the people of Ventnor, and has employed a pharmacist to work in the pharmacy to overcome the historic staffing issues that have been experienced. James Roach, Director of Primary Care and Local Care at NHS Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, said, "We will always look to work with our pharmacies and remain in weekly contact with J. Hoots. However, we remain prepared to take action where necessary to ensure the best access for patients."
Wartime Fort lands £250,000 to be a leading attraction. A Palmerston-era fortress has been awarded £250,000 to help secure its long-term future and develop it as a tourist attraction. The funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, part of a £370,000 project to restore Bembridge Fort, with a further £120,000 to be raised from other sources, including a fundraising campaign. Over the past year, essential structure work to make the building safe, protect rare features and prevent further water damage has already been funded by the Bembridge Fort Trust. The next phase aims to restore the original Victorian officers' quarters, parade ground and other historic areas for community education and event use. Volunteers, schools, local community and history groups will all be able to take part in the project through events and tours, allowing people to enjoy and play a part in allowing this important landmark to be open for visitors after many years of being locked away. Liam Mew, supervising architect from LMA Heritage Consultancy, said, "This very welcome funding boost from the National Lottery Fund will allow us to lay the groundwork that will secure the future of Bembridge Fort. The Vital Works proposed area is both ambitious and complex and will be carried out in a way that is in keeping with this historic landmark." David Reeves, chair of Bembridge Fort Trust, added, "Bembridge Fort deserves a bright future and securing this funding is a key milestone in creating that future. I would like to thank the volunteers and trustees of the Bembridge Fort Trust whose tireless work has helped make this bid possible." Stuart MacLeod, Director of London and South at the National Lottery Heritage Fund, said, "Bembridge Fort is an important heritage asset and we're proud to support this project to restore and connect the community to it. The Trust hopes the project will mark the start of a new chapter, ensuring the fort remains a valued part of the island's heritage for generations to come.
Ferry firm's fast service fix success. Ferry firm Whitelink says its fast cat service is back to normal earlier than expected thanks to an interim fix, meaning it can once again accommodate wheelchairs, pushchairs, prams and bikes. Works to the gangway and berth at Portsmouth Harbour are ongoing till at least April 2026, affecting embarkment and disembarkment. The works meant temporary use of the south end berth was needed, but fast cat services resumed from the north end berth at Portsmouth Harbour on Monday. A spokesperson for Whitelink said, "We know this has been a difficult period for our customers, and thank you for your patience and understanding. This interim fix allows us to return to the main berth earlier than expected, while broader maintenance and repair work continues, with full completion still planned for April 2026.
Probe into former hotel, now an HMO. An extremely tired and run-down former hotel being used as an HMO without consent is under investigation by council enforcement officers. Rose Glen on Shanklin's Palmerston Road closed in September 2021 and is now partly occupied by a house in multiple occupation, according to a design, access and planning statement from Andrew White Planning Consultancy. There is not, however, consent for the HMO, and the building's planning use is currently under investigation by Isle of Wight council officers, the consultancy said. The owners have responded to their council officers' request for information, including completing a planning contravention notice. In response, they have been informed by local planning authority enforcement officers that they must give notice to all the tenants to rectify the breach of planning control, regardless that this action will render the tenants homeless. In desperation, the owners have turned to both their local councillor and MP for help, as well as engaging their own planning consultant. They are anxious to regularise the planning situation and discussions with planning officers, and indeed the enforcement officers have indicated there is a desire to work with them in this regard. The way forward would now appear to be for the change of use of the property to residential flats. Applicants Mr and Mrs Lawrence are asking County Hall for a change of use, including a demolition of the building's rear two-storey extension. The statement says there appears to be a tacit acceptance by the council that the property is no longer viable as a hotel, with no buyers coming forward despite an extensive marketing period. Rose Glen has been a casualty of the downturn in hotel accommodation tourism, and conversion into residential use seems to be the best option for the building, it adds. County Hall's public consultation on application 25th 0611 FUL closes on December the 5th and a decision is due on January the 1st.
Dame's fear of sexual violence. Former Conservative politician Dame Penny Mordaunt told a court the actions of an Isle of Wight man accused of stalking her were more concerning than threats to shoot her and her family, and she feared sexual violence. Edward Brandt, 61, formerly of Queen's Road Freshwater and now living in the New Forest, is accused of stalking, intending serious alarm or distress against the former MP for Portsmouth North between September the 11th, 2023 and May the 12th, 2024. The jury at Southampton Crown Court was told Brandt sent multiple emails and phone messages to Dame Penny and also turned up at her Portsmouth office out of hours in a bid to meet her. The trial heard how, in her witness statement to the police, Dame Penny was concerned Brandt's references to wanting a personal relationship with her had caused her to fear sexual violence, which is extremely alarming. Her voice breaking with emotion, she told the court, "This comes after the spate of 13 emails plus voice messages. It's after he came to my office out of hours. It's after the police intervened and our letter of cease and desist. I believe his motivations for pursuing me are not that he wanted to have a conversation about flat tax. I do think they do point to that he is talking about meeting me socially. He's not asking for a surgery appointment. He wants to meet me after hours. The way he is talking about my physical appearance and so forth. It's clear this is not a normal pattern of behaviour." One email from Brand stated, "I'm going to go on gently knocking at your door in order to shake your hand. I'm not giving up." Dame Penny, an MP from 2010 to 2024, added, "I have been a parliamentarian for 14 years, and during that time I've had to deal with all kinds of threats and issues. It's different from your average citizen. I'm quite used to dealing with this, and I'm quite a robust individual. The difference between this case and even threats to shoot me and my family, they are easier to deal with because that threat is not constantly present. It's not something you are having to think about every single day when you're leaving your house. I believe this man was a real threat to me and still is." The court heard Brand made reference to her having a gold-plated and precious hand. Brand denies the charge and the trial continues.
Tourists' life ban from holiday park. A holidaymaker has been banned for life from a Parkdean Resorts holiday park after he attacked staff. Mark Ellis, 38, of Oakley Road in Braintree, Essex, appeared before the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on November the 4th, where he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of assault by beating and 1 of criminal damage. Prosecutor Lauren McConnell told the court that on October the 4th, Ellis had been drinking at the bar while staying at Thorness Bay Holiday Park when he became involved in an incident with another guest. The court heard that Ellis was asked to leave the site and was escorted out by police. However, when the holiday park's manager left later that night, he found Ellis outside the main entrance where police had taken him before leaving the scene, Mrs. McConnell said. Magistrates were told that Ellis stormed towards the manager, who was joined by a security guard, and both attempted to stop him from re-entering the park. Mrs. McConnell said Ellis swung a punch at the security guard, spat at the manager, and grabbed the guard by the neck, digging his nails into the man's hand and attempting to bite him. Police were called for a second time and arrested Ellis. While in custody at Newport Police Station, Ellis urinated on the floor of his cell despite having access to a toilet. In a victim statement, the holiday park's manager said he feared for the safety of staff and guests, describing Ellis as a very aggressive man. Ellis has since been banned for life from Thorness Bay Holiday Park. The court heard that Ellis had 26 previous convictions for 52 offences and was already serving a 12-month community order for theft and battery. Defending, Tom Cook said Ellis had not offended for 5 years prior to the August conviction, and recent bereavements had significantly affected him. Magistrates imposed a 4-month community order to run alongside his existing 12-month order. Ellis was also made subject to a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew for 12 weeks, electronically monitored. He must pay £150 compensation to the security guard, £100 to the holiday park manager, and £100 to the police.
Council warning over flu housing measures. The Isle of Wight Council has issued a warning after the introduction of mandatory housing measures to protect chickens from bird flu. All keepers of over 50 birds or all keepers who sell or give away eggs, meat or poultry are legally required to house their birds. The measures are in response to the increase in findings of avian influenza or bird flu in kept and wild animals. wild birds. The measure came into force from 12:01 a.m. last Thursday, November the 6th. The Isle of Wight Council said, keeping your birds under cover away from wild birds is vital to minimise the risk of them becoming infected with avian influenza by wild birds. If you are currently in a protection zone outside of these areas, you must continue to house your birds. Christine Middlemiss, UK Chief Veterinary Officer, said, given the continued increase in the number of avian influenza cases in kept birds and wild birds across England, we are now taking the difficult step to extend the housing measures to the whole of England. I urge bird keepers to comply with the new housing measures, continue to exercise robust biosecurity measures, remain alert for any signs of disease, and report suspected disease immediately to the Animal and Plant Health Agency.
Wet Leg's triple for Grammys. Popular Isle of Wight band Wet Leg have been nominated for 3 Grammy Awards. This year, Wet Leg's cover artwork for album Moisturiser made the cut in the newly introduced Best Album Cover category, as did albums by DJO and Perfume Genius. The Island Band have also been nominated for Best Alternative Music Performance for Monge 2 and for Best Alternative Music Album. Speaking with Radio X's John Kennedy last week, Wet Leg's Ryan Teasdale and Josh Marbaraki confirmed their 3rd album was done ahead of several huge outdoor shows fixed for next year. Discussing their upcoming gigs, Josh said, headlining venues like the Alexandra Palace is like a dream, so big you're not even allowed to dream about it. Asked if doing massive headline gigs on their own outside in the UK meant the band would have to rethink their show, Ryan said, I don't know if we'll rethink it. I think we'll still be on a Moisturiser Flex, but certainly to fill that kind of size venue, you do have to think about the show a little bit more and how it's going to be adapted for, like 30,000 people.
Metal detectorist unearths gold coin find of a lifetime. An Isle of Wight metal detectorist has unearthed the find of a lifetime, a gold coin dating back to the 16th century. Mark Smedmore, together with his wife Bridget, has been metal detecting with Vectis Searchers Metal Detecting Club for several years now. The group meet most Sunday mornings, weather permitting, at a dig organised by the club's land liaison officers. But on one special morning, Mark and his fellow club members visited a field which had not been touched by a metal detector for several years. There were plenty of smiles on club members' faces, plenty of signals, and plenty of curious finds were unearthed. My wife and I usually stay around for 3 hours, but on this day Bridget said, we should have a coffee break and carry on, said Mark. Within 20 minutes my detector showed a reading of 77 on the scale. I thought it was just another alloy can, as there were quite a few with the same signal strength. I almost didn't dig a hole, but then I noticed a glint of gold sticking out of the surface. I reached down, pulled it out, and was amazed to see it was a gold-hammered coin. I shouted gold and did the obligatory gold dance, which attracted other members nearby. What Mark unearthed was a rare Henry VIII Golden Angel coin, dating back to at least 1509. To think it laid there for over 500 years and was in an incredible condition, still intact and showing little signs of wear and tear, is remarkable, said Mark. I was absolutely gobsmacked. At the club's monthly meeting, Mark's discovery won the Find of the Month award, and it is in the running for Find of the Year. The coin is now with the club's local finds officer at Newport's Guildhall Museum, where it will be recorded. The coin will then be valued with the landowner entitled to half. What happens after will have to be decided between us, said Mark. Either one of us will keep it or we'll have to go to auction. It's the club's 40th anniversary this year, and it was also Bridget's late father's wedding anniversary on the day, which made it even more special. He was a long-time member of the club and introduced us to the hobby.
Woman's death due to cliff fall. An inquest has concluded that a 77-year-old woman who was reported missing prior to her death took her own life in a cliff fall at the Needles. The inquest into the death of Celia Georgina Vosper, born in East Cowes but living in Freshwater, was held in private at the Isle of Wight Coroner's Court in Newport under Section 9C of the Coroners and Justice Act 2009. Mrs. Vosper, 77, a retired chemist assistant, was last seen in Freshwater on the afternoon of Tuesday, March the 28th. A major multi-agency search began that evening after she was reported missing, and police issued an appeal for information. Yarmouth RNLI's all-weather lifeboat was launched shortly before 8 p.m. to search the shoreline between Yarmouth and the Needles while police searched on land. Volunteers from White SAR along with Coast Guard rescue teams and Coast Guard helicopter joined the operation, with searches continuing the following morning. On Wednesday, March the 29th, officers searching the cliffs near Allen Bay and New Road discovered the body of Mrs. Vosper. According to the official record of inquest, the cause of death was recorded as severe multiple injuries. Coroner Caroline Summerrain concluded that Mrs. Vosper took her own life and noted her long-standing struggles with mental health.
Visit Isle of Wight chair resigns from board. The chair of Visit Isle of Wight has resigned with immediate effect, the island's tourist board has confirmed. David Curtis Brignall, who has been in the role since 2023, has stepped down amid the appointment of new board members. Visit Isle of Wight issued a statement revealing its regret over Mr. Curtis Brignall's decision. A spokesperson said, David has been in position since November 2023 and brought a large amount of national tourism and visitor economy knowledge and experience gained throughout his career with the English Tourist Board, Visit Kent, Visit Hertfordshire and Visit Isle of Man, in addition to senior roles in international hotel companies. Mr. Curtis Brignall did have responsibilities in addition to his role as a director and was remunerated accordingly. In the interim, the Vice Chair of Visit Isle of Wight would take over responsibilities, supporting Managing Director Will Miles until the new board directors meet. An election was called after it was revealed that the required interim elections hadn't taken place as they were supposed to. Visit Isle of Wight sought legal advice over the blunder. More than 1,000 votes were forecast, resulting in the appointment of 12 new directors. The appointments will be confirmed at a general meeting today.
And now we're moving on to White Memories and Nostalgia. And this is an article taken from the Isle of Wight Observer, published on the 14th of November 1863, and it carried this complaint about the police. What are the police for? If any gentleman writes to Captain Forrest as to the shortcomings of the police, he coolly and in so many words tells him to mind his own business. Such advice would be all very well if the aforesaid gentleman who complains did not contribute to the cost of the police. But the complainants against the police are large ratepayers and gentlemen holding high positions. Therefore, if Captain Forrest will not listen to them, an appeal must be made to public opinion. The Isle of Wight in general and the town of Ryde in particular pay very heavily to the police rate, which is collected with the poor rates, hence it is not known, and yet police duties are excessively badly attended to. Vagrancy, petty thieving, obstructions upon the highways and all sorts of police irregularities are constantly indulged in without check or control. Indeed, we do not recollect that at any period since the establishment of the rural police about 25 years ago, when police duties have been so badly managed as during the past year. The complaints which reach us are so regular and spread over so large an area that we are justified in appealing to the resident magistrates, whom we have always found ready to move in any matter demanding their interference, to institute inquiries with a view to apply a remedy. For some time, Ryde seems to be turned into a drilling ground for raw recruits in the force. Perhaps the Johnny Rawbones who are sent here may do by and by, but it unfortunately happens that the most skilful and practised vagrants in the country frequent Ryde on account of its wealth, and therefore the more especially as Ryde pays heavily for protection, it ought to have experienced police. We give as a fair specimen of the thousands of complaints which we received the following from a gentleman of the highest position. The slipway is now infested by a gang of ragged urchins waiting for the tide to go out. 5 small boys headed by one rather older, supposed to come from Newport. Their impudence exceeds their dirt and rags. Their daily occurrence, is it to be tolerated? What are the police for? We know that the complaint is not unfounded, for on Monday last we narrowly escaped having an eye cut out by these dangerous boys.
Who was the dairyman's daughter? On the island we have always had our share of colourful and sometimes curious residents. Here I will explore a fairly well-known story of one of these residents. In a past issue of the County Press, I had written about the Reverend Lee Richmond, 1772 to 1827, and his book, Annals of the Poor. One of the stories from the book that I had quoted aroused some local interest surrounding the dairyman's daughter. As local people know, Arreton has a well-known pub called the Dairyman's Daughter, and the readers were curious to find out the connection of the pub name to the title of the story in the book. The pub is an old converted barn. The original home of the dairyman and his daughter was situated some way from the pub, about 1.5 miles along the main road going towards Apps Heath. The original cottage still survives and of course is called the Dairyman's Daughter Cottage. So who was this mysterious dairyman, the father of the girl in the book? Joseph Walbridge originally came to the island from Bridport in Dorset in the 1920s and worked in the farming community, working on various island farms. He was described by his employers as being diligent and industrious, and in time he managed to obtain a farm of 6 acres and a cottage of his own to rent. He married an island girl by the surname of Yelf, and they had 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters, one being the dairyman's daughter Elizabeth, who was the subject of the story and the inspiration behind the name of the pub.
A subsequent book was written by the Reverend T. Tyerman in 1817 titled The Dairyman, perhaps a bit of cashing in on the success of Lee Richmond's popular publication. In the book he describes how the dairyman had crops of corn, 3 cows, a horse, 2 or 3 pigs and some fowl, and supplemented his meagre living with a little bit of smuggling. With the help of his wife, who ran a small shop at the cottage, he managed to increase his income very nicely by disposing of his illicit smuggled alcohol to grateful locals. However, it was through the help of his dutiful daughter Elizabeth that he found righteousness and managed to give up his part-time smuggling hobby. Thus, the story of the dairyman's daughter came into being and eventually to be immortalised in the name of the Arreton pub. Today, many years after the publication of the story, John Cooper resides in the dairyman's cottage. He often has inquisitive visitors call by wanting to find out more, and they come from near and far. Elizabeth Walbridge died in 1801 and is buried in the village churchyard alongside a 12th century church which is located just past the carp pond at Arraton Barnes.
And now we have some my views. Pushing campaigns forward and firewalking from Richard Quigley, MP for Isle of Wight West. It's been a productive return to Parliament following the conference recess. I've used the time to champion key issues affecting the island, from cross-Solent travel and GP services to eating disorders and more. My team have been working hard to support constituents with casework, a fancy way of referring to topics or issues they need help on. While my November and December surgery appointments are now full, if you'd like to be added to the December wait list, you can still email me. Alternatively, my dedicated caseworker also offers appointments to progress casework. Please email richardquigley.mp@parliament.uk or visit richardquigley.org.uk. You may have seen that I've been campaigning for Zoe's Law, which would mandate histological testing of all excised moles. Zoe Panay's family have been campaigning tirelessly for this change for years, and it was a major milestone to see it progress. On October the 15th, my Labour colleague Ben Goldsborough MP, who is currently undergoing treatment for stage 2C skin cancer, raised the campaign with the Prime Minister at Prime Minister's Questions. That same day, a meeting was secured with the Minister for Public Health and Prevention, and Zoe's family, who have said they feel closer than ever to seeing Zoe's Law become reality. While there's lots still to do, the government's serious engagement gives us real hope. I'm also encouraged by progress on eating disorders. In October, I met the Minister for Care, along with the campaigner Hope Virgo and Beat. The Minister welcomed our proposals and committed to a round table with the NHS leaders to improve clinical safeguards, a clear signal that the department is beginning to treat eating disorders with the seriousness they deserve. Last Saturday, I took part in a fire walk, yes, barefoot over hot coals, as a way of supporting the incredible team at RSPCA Isle of Wight. The event raised over £4,500, with donations still coming in, making it their biggest fundraiser of the year. I was proud to help shine a spotlight on the RSPCA's work and the difference they make every day to caring for animals on the island. Finally, it was an immense honour to mark this year's Remembrance Sunday, a moment made especially poignant as we commemorated 80 years since the end of the Second World War. I was privileged to pay tribute both in Parliament and at the County Act of Remembrance in Newport. It was great to see St Thomas's Square packed out with people of all ages. A reminder that remembrance bridges over generations, and the political divide is a time to reflect on the immense courage and sacrifice of those who served in the past, and to recognise those who continue to serve today.
And this is an article written by Superintendent Rob Mitchell of the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary. Last month I talked about the makeup of our island police teams and how a mix of local officers invested in keeping the island they call home safe work alongside our mainland officers. The constabulary offers a real opportunity for residents to join us, and the island's Chief Inspector Andy MacDonald is just one example, sharing his experiences below. For anyone who may feel inspired, then please have a look at our internet pages or come along to one of our recruitment events planned for April next year. Chief Inspector Andy MacDonald said, "I grew up in Ryde and Newport, and from an early age I knew I wanted to serve my community. Becoming a police officer was always my ambition, as I wanted to make a real difference in the place I call home. After serving in the Royal Air Force, policing felt like a natural next step. It's a career built on discipline, teamwork and public service, which are values I've always held close. I joined Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary in 2002 and was posted to Ryde after my initial training. Early on, I was involved in frontline policing, including the arrest of a knife-point robbery suspect who had targeted a vulnerable pensioner. And that moment really enforced why I do this job, to protect those who need us most. Over the years, I've worked across neighbourhood policing and major incident management, and as a sergeant and later on an inspector, I've led responses to critical incidents across the island with a focus on keeping people safe and supporting my team. I believe policing is unique. It's not about individual effort, it's about the strength of the team. We bring together different skills, backgrounds and perspectives, and that's what makes us effective. We work for each other and for the communities we serve. Now, as District Commander, my role is to support our teams in delivering outstanding local policing across the island. I'm proud to lead here, proud of the place and proud of the people. One of my proudest moments was laying the police wreath on Remembrance Sunday in St Thomas's Square in Newport. It was a symbolic act that connected my service to the island's history and values, something I'll never forget. To anyone thinking about joining us, my message is simple. If you care about your community and want to be a part of something bigger and are ready to grow, then policing on the Isle of Wight is a career like no other.
Reflections on Island Life from Kathy Hepburn, volunteer for West Wight Dementia Friendly Choir, and they were winners of the King's Award for Volunteering 2025. Have you ever found yourself singing along to an old familiar tune and been amazed at how well you remember the lyrics? And hey, you sounded pretty good whilst being transported to a memorable moment or place? It's the same for people with dementia, but more poignant, as often music can be remembered when other memories are long forgotten. As a volunteer for West Wight Dementia Friendly Choir every Wednesday, I witness the magic of music and the coming together of a supportive community. It is a highlight of my week. Dementia is a term used to describe a decline in cognitive ability and can result from various causes, such as Alzheimer's. You may already have experience of this condition with friends or family, as unfortunately the number of people being diagnosed is increasing rapidly. Research has shown that even as the condition progresses, people with dementia can still hold an emotional memory, so they continue to feel happy long after a positive experience has occurred, even though they may have forgotten the experience. Social interaction with music produces all sorts of positive impacts, including the feeling of self-worth, decreased sense of loneliness, increased awareness, supports brain health, and a feeling of being in control. Our choir members are all ages and range from those newly diagnosed to those at the later stages of dementia, and are joined by their carers who benefit equally as much. Carers' commitment is humbling and, as a 24/7 role that you can find yourself thrown into, it can be hard to navigate. A fun time at choir can change a fractious early morning into a positive experience where loved ones can connect again. Our mid-morning tea break gives everyone a chance to laugh and sometimes offload. It provides an opportunity for carers to find out from others the support network available, including Carers Isle of Wight, Age UK, Parklands Cows, Our Place, Alzheimer Cafes and others. Our team of volunteers bring a full range of skills to the group. From Pam, our music lead, our pianist, meet and greet helpers, IT support, treasurer, tea makers, to my role as administrator and musical support. Many carers whose loved ones are now cared for continue to attend our choir. During the morning, myself and others check in while members, seeing that they feel safe and supported. Everyone joins in as much as they want with singing, percussion, physical warm-up exercises and sometimes dance. Children come along from our local Freshwater and Yarmouth Primary School to sing with us and help during tea break. The intergenerational experience benefits everyone. My aspiration is for there to be music groups available for the dementia community and their carers across the island. With help from the local community, and we have raised funds to facilitate a choir at Parklands at Cowes, and we are currently working with Aspire towards a choir in Ryde. With our repertoire of more than 120 songs, ideas, start-up support and funding to share, it really doesn't take much more. A musical leader with a pianist or simple backing track, kind volunteers, a warm room with suitable facilities, some percussion, and of course, tea and biscuits. If you would like to chat about volunteering and being part of a singing group for your local dementia community, then please get in touch with me via Kathy Hepburn Isle of Wight at gmail.com or West Wight Dementia Friendly Choir at gmail.com. I will be only too happy to help.
London is watching, writes Carol Dennett. Well, here we go again. Another report, another consultant, another invoice for council taxpayers. Richard Penn's verdict from his 31-page report is that the Isle of Wight Council is dysfunctional. Honestly, I could have saved us all the fee by scribbling that on the back of an envelope. In fact, anyone who's endured a council meeting could have done the same. Paying a governance guru to confirm the obvious seems like a new level of the Isle of Wight Council farce. The report lists hostility, disrespect and deflection. If you've ever attended a council meeting, you'll know it's more soap opera than local democracy. Corrie has nothing on them. And seasoned council watchers will see the fingerprints of the Empowering Islanders group all over some of the antics. They challenged the monitoring officer's rulings when his advice didn't suit them. Then the pensions committee, chaired by their leader but shamefully backed by others, cancelled a scheduled meeting because they didn't agree with who had been elected chairman. Empowering Islanders? How exactly? Next Wednesday brings another full council meeting. Will they play nice? Or will it be another round of pretend points of order, muttered accusations and shouting across the chamber? Christmas may be coming, but surely Islanders deserve better than a pantomime. But here's the serious point. The Isle of Wight Council oversees education, adult social care, transport and much more. It spends around £500 million of public money every year, money from residents and taxpayers who expect competence, not playground politics. When government departments start firing off warning letters and consultants are hired to remind councillors to act like grown-ups, you know things are bad. As the report makes clear, this isn't new and the poor behaviour is self-perpetuating. Able people won't stand for election because they don't want to be dragged into the circus. Yes, we have some good councillors, but too many seem blind to how their antics look to those who simply want them to serve the island to the best of their ability in difficult times. This report must be the wake-up call it claims to be. Some councillors need to grow up, and they all need to work with each other and officers and remember why they're there, to serve the island. Because if they don't, the next report won't just brand them dysfunctional, it will recommend stripping them of control altogether, and then Whitehall will step in. Do islanders really want their council run from London because our local politicians couldn't stop squabbling?
Shuttle bus to keep Wroxall connected. A dedicated shuttle bus service has been launched to help Wroxall residents stay connected during major reconstruction works on the village's main road. The shuttle running between Wroxall and Upper Ventnor has been introduced by Southern Vectis in partnership with the Isle of Wight Council and Island Roads. It aims to reduce disruption for local people during the 12-week closure of St John's Road, High Street and Clarence Road for full carriageway rebuilding. While the number 3 service is being diverted via Shanklin and Ventnor, the shuttle will operate 7 days a week, providing a vital link for residents needing to travel between Wroxall and Upper Ventnor. To ensure safe operation, no waiting at any time cones have been placed at the eastern end of the bus lay-by outside St Francis Primary School on Newport Road, Ventnor. Drivers are asked not to park in this area. In response to community feedback, ENCTS, English National Concessionary Travel Scheme, passes can now be used on the 9:20am shuttle from Upper Ventnor and the 9:11am service from Albert Street. To keep residents informed, an email update group has been set up. To subscribe, email cipadmin@islandroads.com. The 7-phase project is due to finish by February the 27th, with a 2-week break over Christmas. Updates and shuttle timetables are available at Island Buses Info and islandroads.com.
And now in What's On, there's a diabetes drop-in session. A Newport Diabetes Support drop-in takes place on Tuesday, November the 18th from 1pm to 3pm at St Thomas's Church Hall opposite the Castle Inn. The session offers a chance to meet others living with diabetes with tea and chat available, and the group meets on the 3rd Tuesday of each month.
Afternoon of Music event. A charity event will bring an afternoon of music to Newport. The Medina Tattoo will take place at Newport's Medina Theatre on Sunday, November the 23rd at 2pm. The event will be led by White Hot Pipes, featuring the Reading Pipe Band, Vectis Corps of Drums and White Rose Highland Dancers. The event will be hosted by the piano man, Matt Black. The event is in support of Aspire Ride, a charity that provides various services to the island community, such as meals, community groups and information. All money raised will go to supporting Aspire's work. Tickets for the event are on sale for £15 and can be bought by calling the Medina Theatre box office or through their website.
Aspire Creative Hub in Ryde hosts a Reconnect session for musicians over 65 on Mondays, running from 11am to 1pm. The group supports well-being and helps participants reconnect with their love of playing, with experienced facilitators also supporting those living with dementia. Sessions cost £3 and more information is available by emailing jess@aspireride.org.uk.
St Helens Historical Society hosts a talk on smuggling and wrecking on Thursday, November the 20th at the Community Centre, starting at 7:30pm. Crime historian Dr. Angela Buckley will discuss how smuggling shaped island life in the 18th and 19th centuries. Entry is free for members and £3 for non-members, with teas and a raffle available.
Sinbad Saves the Day Panto. A new pantomime is coming to Trinity Theatre in Cowes this Christmas season. Sinbad Saves the Day is written by local theatre veteran Gwen Stevens. The show will feature a mix of music, adventure and traditional pantomime elements. Gwen, who has won awards for her original production of the Canterbury Tales, has incorporated the Gilbert and Sullivan classic We Sail the Ocean Blue into the show. The pantomime, which is suitable for all ages, will take the audience on a high seas adventure with Sinbad as he embarks on a quest to save the day. The performances will take place at 2:30 on November the 30th, December the 6th and December the 7th, and at 7:30 on November the 29th, December the 5th and December the 6th.
And another pantomime. A new family pantomime is set to entertain audiences this November. Ballyrags Comedy Club is bringing Treasure Island, the pantomime, to the Key Arts Centre from November the 27th to the 30th. The show promises laughter, music and mayhem on the high seas for audiences of all ages. The story follows young Jim Hawkins as he embarks on an adventure to find buried treasure. However, they must be wary of Long John Silver and his crew. The pantomime will feature jokes, sea shanties and audience participation. The show stars Proud Mary as Dame Hawkins and Baron Fortitude as Ben Gunn. Guests can also look forward to some surprise side-splitting moments. Performances will take place at 7 p.m. on November the 27th and 28th, then at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. on November the 29th and 30th. To buy tickets, visit www.keyarts.org/events Treasure Island, the pantomime.
And now we're moving on to letters, and Dr. Nick England from Ryde writes this letter called Grey Van Shame. It was my privilege to attend the Remembrance Sunday services in Ryde on Sunday. 400 of us attended a service in Ryde School, inspirationally led by the Reverend Heath Monaghan, after which we paraded down to Lynn Street for a moving act of remembrance beautifully led by Reverend David Morgan. We were joined there by a further 400 people. However, despite clear notices showing that parking had been suspended, a grey van had parked straight in front of the War Memorial, blocking the view of the ceremony for many. If it was the intention of the van owner to disrupt the ceremony, they did not detract from the occasion's solemnity, but we did have to walk round the van to lay our wreaths. On the other hand, if this parking error was an innocent mistake, I hope the owner will wish to respond to this letter with an abject apology.
And an apology offered from the name and address supplied. I would like to offer my sincere apologies for parking my car in a restricted area during the Ryde Memorial service. I parked my car in the bay when it was dark, where many other cars were already parked. I have parked in this location for a number of times before and did not think to check whether any restrictions had changed or been put in place. I genuinely did not realise that this area formed part of the arrangements for the memorial service. As my family usually attends the Sandown service, I was unaware of the Ryde service and the significance of this location. I am mortified and extremely apologetic that my actions caused so much upset. It was never my intention to cause offence or disrespect in any way. This was a genuine mistake and I deeply regret any distress or inconvenience I have caused. Please accept my heartfelt apologies for this oversight. I assure you that I will be far more careful in future and will make every effort to ensure such a situation does not happen again. And the owner of the van has pledged to make a donation to the Royal British Legion.
Put money back in our pockets, writes Dr. Christopher Worley-Lack from East Cowes. 5 years since Brexit, and a British Chancellor has finally called out Brexit for what it is, an act of pure economic sabotage and vandalism. Politics is finally catching up with economic reality. The OBR estimates that it has wiped 4% from our economy. The resulting suppression of wages and loss in revenue for the Treasury have increased the likelihood of tax rises in the upcoming budget. New polling by Best for Britain shows that 3 in 5 Brits now see Brexit as a failure, with 7 in 10 of those voters blaming Nigel Farage. His silence on the subject speaks volumes. Alongside pointing out the problem and those responsible, the government must increase efforts to work with the EU to undo the damage. They must go further and faster in removing barriers to trade, unlocking growth, pushing prices down and putting money back in people's pockets.
Fears unfounded from Paul Henshaw in Freshwater. I have great news for Joe Robertson, MP for Isle of Wight East. His fears about the European Court of Human Rights are completely unfounded. Some might say that whoever is trying to influence his opinion has entirely misrepresented the facts. The ECHR could not be further from acting as a significant drag, and in some cases a bar, to deporting criminals. The truth is that since 1980, the ECHR has stopped only 13 deportations out of a total of 29 that have gone before the courts. In other words, the ECHR has ruled against the UK in deportation or extradition approximately once every 4.5 years. I now look forward to Mr. Robertson retracting his totally incorrect assertions, perhaps with an apology for misrepresenting the true facts in a way that does nothing more than spread fear and division. My advice to Mr. Robertson would be to check Google in future. The truth is out there. Otherwise you just sound like a howling banshee trying to emulate a reformed dog whistle.
Beware of rogue traders, writes S. Artress of Brading. I read with interest the report entitled Builder Jailed for Fraud Scheme in the Isle of Wight Observer, October the 7th, since I too was defrauded by a Newport builder who I trusted. He had already completed work for me and been paid, so there was no reason to distrust him. Naively, I assumed that in such a small community as this, tradesmen would be solicitous of their reputations. However, I was disabused of this notion when, having paid for materials and waited well over a year, receiving numerous excuses, this tradesman failed to complete the task for which I had engaged him. So, to all you island roofers and builders out there, and to any future customers, just be aware there is one among you, and possibly more, who thinks nothing of defrauding the elderly.
Put British workers first, please, from E. Watson in Newport. Dear Editor, Labour politicians claim that they are committed to putting a stop to the illegal migrants who arrive every day by small boats, but they appear to be having very little success. Now we hear that Rachel from Accounts is planning to abolish the cap on child benefits to allow larger families to claim even more money from the state. That's us, by the way. The Office of National Statistics says that in 2024, more than 1 in 3 children born in England and Wales had a mother born abroad. That figure increased from around 1 in 4 in 2008. So those families that will benefit most from the new policy are immigrants, as they have bigger families than those of us who were born here. It seems to be yet another reason for illegal economic migrants from all over the world to get in a dinghy and cross the English Channel. Why don't they look at Reform UK's policy, which is that the cap would be lifted, but only for British working couples? I think many people think that would be much fairer, but I suppose it is not woke enough for Labour's MPs to put British workers first.
As a wag on Substack put it, the BBC Leftwaf has been caught red-handed falsifying a Trump speech, knowingly disseminating fake news, presumably with the intent of influencing the American election. But this type of behaviour is only a matter of scale. BBC founder Lord Reith compared commercial television to smallpox and the Black Death. Subsequent management and employees have continued to tell people that what they should think and actively censor anything the corporation deemed inappropriate. This has ranged from Mike Reed refusing to play Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood to suppressing informed debate on serious issues such as COVID or illegal immigration. Is anyone at the BBC even interested in partiality these days, or are they just Labour's Pravda?
You get more positives from Labour as from Tony King in Lake. Dear Editor, I'd like to explain the reasons I vote Labour here. After 85 years, I look back on my life and find that the positives have come from Labour governments. Here are some examples. The NHS was formed in 1948. This has been a role model for the rest of the world, although some parts of the world have done it better. Bus passes for pensioners have proved to be a lifeline for many. They also help with congestion and the environment. The over-80s free TV licence was given under Labour and taken away by the Tories. The ban on smoking in enclosed areas has, I believe, saved the NHS a large amount of money. The Tories never considered it. Could it have been that they were getting too much tax income from the tobacco companies? The Open University was introduced by Harold Wilson. It gave the opportunity to people with a lower income to study and get a degree. The winter fuel allowance, without a Labour government, nobody would have got this payment in the first place. People will say that this has all got to be paid for from taxes, and they would be right. But under the last Tory government, taxes were higher than ever. At least Labour governments were spending the money in a positive manner. And that's all we have time for today, so it's goodbye from Madeline.
And goodbye from Morris.
The BBC In Touch programme follows, and the Scaffolding News follows that.
Vectis Radio, FM 104.6, the heart of the island's community.
We got Chris Kane.
Hello.
And J.D. Viette.
Hello.
Is it Viette or Vietti?
It is Viette.
Viette.
Yeah, well,
So you're from Sight for Wight, the oldest sights charity on the Isle of Wight?
Yes, 160 years old.
Can you talk into the microphone, please?
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah, 160 years old.
It does help. No, it does help.
It is, yes. So yeah, we've been around, and it was our birthday this year, obviously. So
Happy birthday to
thank you very much.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of different fundraising exercises to celebrate the 160 years. So we're currently doing a Sponsor a Day campaign where businesses, organisations, individuals who are celebrating a memorable day, basically we showcase that over social media, have a little celebration for them, and yeah, it's just one of the ways we're kind of celebrating our 160 years of supporting the visually impaired on the Isle of Wight.
And neither of you been there that long, have you?
No.
No.
No, not at all. I actually have only just started there recently, so I took over from Lisa Hollyhead back in August.
Yeah.
It feels like forever ago now. But yeah, it's been an amazing start. It's an amazing team and a fantastic community that we're serving and working with. It's really exciting times, I think, for all of us.
That's good.
So has it always been at its current site, or was it elsewhere beforehand?
We were at Wallace Court. I think we moved to Millbrook House in about 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're quite established where we are.
Wallace Court, was that on up Staples or something?
Yeah, up near Staples.
Yeah, I feeling it was up that way somewhere, yeah. Not there
Right.
anymore, is it? It's gone.
No, it's gone. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. So, we know, but what is it that you do for the sight impaired or visually impaired people on the island?
So basically, we work to support the visually impaired and hearing impaired community on the Isle of Wight. We do that through various kind of gatherings. So we have a mix and mingle group. We have a coffee morning where we invite both visually impaired and hearing impaired together, where we just enjoy each other's company, talk, celebrate recent successes. So one of our members recently has published her third book.
Oh, wow.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, we have a range of different activities as well. So there's a monthly golfing group, we have a swimming group, striders, and a walk and talk group. So basically, we're trying to, I think, raise awareness as well, ultimately, around kind of visual impairments. So we have different schemes like Be Wise, Protect Your Eyes, which is all about eye care. As early as possible, wearing like sunglasses and really kind of protecting your eyes, because later in life, it's something that does come for us all.
Absolutely.
Vision impairments and things. So yeah, it's we try and be creative as possible and tailor what we offer to the community's needs. So if there is anybody who wants to do something in particular and they don't know how, please get in touch with us, because we love to facilitate and we love to kind of engage our communities across the board.
And there's also the Jasmine's education program.
Yes, yeah. So the youth education program is where we go into schools and kind of talk about different visual impairments and what we can do to protect our eyes. And into the new year, we're looking to do that on a much broader scale. So visiting more schools and the other demographics, like teenagers and things, through different community hubs. Really, just to raise awareness and
So do you think that will help foster inclusivity with people who've got sight impairment?
Absolutely.
Vision impairment, and I was going to put not the normal population, the general population, let's put it that way.
Yeah. I think awareness is key, I think there's a lot of... us, even myself, before coming into the role, I've worked in the community for years with different kind of individuals. And, I mean, something as simple as holding a guide cane, for example.
Yeah.
Never held one before, I've seen it in use, but never experienced that. And I think, the more we kind of interact with the kind of hidden communities that have a lot of barriers,
Yes.
I think it's it's a good thing for the community for us to understand each other better, and the more the merrier in terms of supporting each other as well. I think it's really hard to support someone if you don't know what you're supporting.
Yes.
And I think by working together, it really does foster a sense of inclusivity, and community working together.
Yeah, because it's not like one size fits all, is it?
Absolutely.
Everyone's different.
Yeah, and there's loads of different challenges out there. It's the visual impairment in and of itself won't be the exclusive challenge that someone has. It can be a whole load of different extrinsic factors that can affect an individual, and that's why working as a community is so important. It's kind of getting together, talking about things that are affecting us, and figuring out a way together to work towards a better outcome.
Brilliant. And what have you got for us, Chris?
Well, whenever I come, I always like to mention, depending on the time of year, the award ceremony, the short story writing competition award ceremony. So that is looming.
Yes.
So we, as we speak, the entries are with our mystery judges. I know, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it?
So we will be holding our award ceremony this year on Friday the 12th of December.
Yep.
7 o'clock start.
Yep.
Doors open at 6:30.
Yep.
It is free to get in. You don't have to have written a story. You can just come along, because we do have entertainment. So we've got entertainment from Huxley.
Oh,
Phil
yes.
Huxley.
Yeah.
Bless him.
He's a good lad,
He's a
isn't he?
good egg, isn't he?
And he's brilliant.
He's so talented, and he's so good with the younger people as well.
Yeah.
And we've got Hannah the vintage songbird.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're familiar
She's
with Hannah
very
as well.
good, yeah. Is she bringing her donkeys?
I don't think so. No, I don't think. I mean, she could though. It's festive,
Yeah.
donkey and all that sort of thing.
Because she looks after them up at Carisbrooke Castle, doesn't she?
She does, yeah. And she recently got married as well.
Oh,
she did, yeah.
Congratulations, Hannah.
She's not Hannah Brewer anymore, she's Hannah something else.
Yeah, Dunford, I think it's
something like that.
Oh,
yes,
right.
Yeah. But, so I'm really pleased for her.
Yeah.
So,
and she sings beautifully.
She's got a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
So Maurice Chook will be our master of ceremonies.
Right.
And so if anyone would like to come along and just want to have a bit of free entertainment and have a festive evening, then please come along. It's at the Riverside Centre.
Right.
Okay.
And we are happy, of course, to play out all the stories over
please.
Christmas,
That would be
the
lovely.
winning stories.
As you have done for many
We have
years.
done, yes.
We're more than happy to do
Let's
that.
have those, and I'll get them into the schedule. Not a
Fantastic.
problem at all.
Thank you very much.
So have you got people reading the stories to be
Yes.
recorded? Who have you got?
We have got the one and only Chesney Hawkes.
Oh, right, yeah.
Go on, yeah.
It's got to be done. Hasn't
Hasn't
you gotta
it,
do
yeah.
Do it.
He does play on that. He says, shall I play my back catalogue?
He does.
And that's it.
Although he's been very much in the public eye this year, he's been on Celebrity Big Brother. He's brought out a new album, so he's sort of really
Right.
getting known, maybe to the younger audience. Have you heard of Chesney Hawkes?
Yes, I saw him on Big Brother actually.
Exactly. There we go. So he's
He had one hit,
Yeah.
One hit.
which was in everybody's head for years, and he still sings it when he does live concerts.
It's very catchy.
Yes.
It's such a catchy song. So we've got we have Chesney, we've got radio presenters, Nation Radio and Easy Radio's Andy Jackson.
Oh, yes.
And Kate Weston.
Yep.
Yes, know them well.
Yes. We've got a comedian who's, again, quite big on TikTok, social media, called Darren Walsh. He does puns, and he actually was at the Ventnor Fringe this year.
Oh, okay.
And I went to see him, and he was absolutely brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
And then we have somebody else, and I cannot think who the other one is at the moment. It's completely escaped
It's somebody
me.
else.
Yeah, there's 5. So we've got Chesney, we've got Darren, we've got Andy Jackson, we've got Kate Weston, and we've got somebody else. And it will come to me.
Yes.
You keep chatting amongst yourselves.
Okay.
It'll come to me.
So, and have you had many entries this year for the competition?
Not great, but it's good. It's enough to do the ceremony,
Good.
have a good night.
Yes.
And I'm really hoping, because of the theme superhero, it's going to really get to the younger people's imagination.
Yeah, let's
and they're
hope
going
so.
to come out with some cracking.
Yeah, they do,
stories.
yeah, they.
Yeah. So yeah.
Good. And so you've got all this stuff going on, and don't forget the talking newspaper as well, which you still produce, I'm
yes,
sure.
in fact, we celebrated 50 years of the Talking News as well this year.
You did,
We did, yes. We went to that.
came along
We
to
went
our
to that ceremony.
celebration, didn't you?
Yeah, we did indeed. That was good fun. So, if people want to find out more about what you're up to, what you're going to be up to, how do they do that?
They can get. We're pretty good on social media now: Facebook, Instagram. We obviously have a website, so you can go to our website, which is siteforwhite.org.uk. You can call us on 52205.
And usually it's usually you that answers the phone.
Yeah, myself and Jasmine. Pretty much.
What was the number again?
It's 52205.
Or on Facebook, look for Site for White.
Yes, and we're open Monday to Friday, 9 till 4.
Okay, excellent. And of course, the website is open all the time.
It is, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Not for
I
long.
can't remember who the other celebrity is.
It'll come back to us. Let me know and I'll put it on the website. Okay. Well, thank you for coming in, chaps. It was nice to see you.
Pleasure.
What we've got taking us into the break then, Leisha?
Oh, sorry. It's Richard Cadell.
Oh, there we
Of course
go.
it is Richard Cadell. With or without Sooty?
Without Sooty, because Sooty was going to read a story, but we didn't think that would work.
No, he doesn't speak, does he?
He whispers. He whispers in your ear.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tricky if you're
You can have sweet.
hearing
and you
impaired
go,
as well.
wink, wink,
Sweet,
wink,
yeah.
wink.
Or you can have Sue. Or Sue.
Or Sue, yes.
I was going to say before my time, but that wouldn't be true.
Hello. Later today, news of an invitation for someone like this.
Basically, I'm making the cupcakes, so I've got, hundreds to do. What I was finding was, if I decorate them not in the box and then pick them up to put them in, that's just asking for an accident because I'm just so clumsy. So I just thought if I decorate them in the box, I haven't even got to touch them then, so then they just literally just stay there like that until the customers come and get them.
That's visually impaired baker Annie Spooner from a programme we made earlier. So get your baking trays ready. But first, the refusal by some taxi drivers to pick up a customer with a guide dog and the difficulty of getting anything done about it when it does happen is an all too common story on In Touch. But now it seems that one company at least is trying to do something about it. The app-based taxi service Uber is introducing changes that it hopes will stop this happening, or at the very least making it much less likely. And in a moment we'll be hearing about them from their UK General Manager. First though, Denise Lee, who was a regular Uber user, explaining more about the kind of experiences which have led to her reluctance in using the company.
It's not just being refused when the taxi turns up. What I often have happen is I will book an Uber and then the trip gets confirmed, so I now screenshot the confirmation screen, and then I will let the driver know that I've got a dog, because I don't want this happening on the curbside. I don't want this when the taxi turns up. And about 8 out of 10 times the trip then gets cancelled. It can take me so much longer to book an Uber than it would take somebody without a dog.
Well, it's to try to deal with some of these things that Uber has come up with this plan. We're joined by Andrew Brem, who is the General Manager of Uber in the UK. Your plan is to introduce a feature whereby guide dog owners can make it clear in their profile on the Uber app that they have a guide dog. Just explain how it'll work.
Yeah, hi there. It's very simple. So if you have an assistance dog, you just go to the app, to accounts and settings and accessibility, you tap on assistance dog, And you're then asked, is your animal an assistance dog as defined under the Equality Act 2010? Yes or no? If yes, you can then choose, I'm riding with my assistance dog, and that's it. What then happens is there's absolutely no need to tell your driver in advance that there's an assistance dog. And Denise, I'm appalled to hear the experience that you've had. It's totally unacceptable and, of course, illegal as well. But the whole point is that once you've self-identified as a passenger with an assistance dog, just as the vehicle arrives at the pickup location, the driver will then be informed by the app that his or her passenger has an assistance dog with them. If, in what I hope is a very unlikely event, that a driver decides they may wish to cancel at that point, they will then get reminded that it is illegal, as well as being against the community guidelines of Uber, but of course illegal in law, to refuse to take a passenger with an assistance dog. And we very much hope, and we have experience from other countries that we've launched this in, that this should be a very, very effective deterrent to any driver who thinks that they may not wish to take an assistance dog. Because as Denise points out, there's no choice in this. It is a matter of law in this country that you absolutely take an assistance dog, no questions asked.
But won't some drivers who have a problem with carrying dogs just see this and not turn up, or just quickly turn around and drive away?
So first of all, of course, all private hire drivers as part of their licensing are absolutely trained in the fact that it is a legal requirement to take an assistance dog. And part of onboarding as a private hire driver on the Uber platform is you're also educated on that, and we send frequent reminders. But, Denise's experience shows how important this is to get right every time.
And it shows it doesn't always happen.
And it doesn't always work. No, and there are instances where we will certainly remove a driver from the platform who has done this, because it's illegal, to say the least. But to that very point, by messaging the driver just as they are arriving at the pickup point, there is really no reason why a driver should cancel at that point. And they are reminded in the app that they must take an assistance dog. What would then happen if there is a cancellation? Two things then happen. One is that our team will investigate that, but we'll also reach out to the passenger, the rider as we call them, to ask them what happened from their point of view. And that gives us additional in-the-moment information that will help our investigation, because we're really, really determined to totally eradicate this behaviour. It's totally unacceptable.
Denise, you wanted to come in.
Only to say that it is still an anxiety that, when they see that there's an assistance dog who will be travelling with the passenger, that they will just drive away, because they know that, in my case, I can't identify a car. Although Uber's reporting system is really robust, it is quite hard to get to the point within the Uber app where you can report a driver's failure to pick you up. But I do appreciate that you are doing everything within your powers to eradicate this. But I really think it needs to be spoken about more completely and comprehensively at the training level, because so many drivers tell me that they just didn't understand what was meant by an assistance dog. They kind of zoned out because they didn't know what it meant.
Let's put that to Andrew. How much training is done of drivers? Do they really get told firmly and clearly, A, what assistance dogs are, and B, what their responsibilities are?
Well, the answer is yes, they absolutely do. And they get told that in different places by different people.
So why do you think they can get away with it when they do the kind of things that Denise is reporting?
I think that's a good question. And I think it's entirely appropriate that when it is found that a driver has refused to take an assistance dog, it's entirely appropriate they're removed from the platform and prosecuted. I think that's absolutely fine. It's just unacceptable. When any private hire driver gets licensed by their authority, whether it be Transport for London or any other one, part of that licensing, I'm a driver myself, by the way, in London, and in the TfL private hire drivers handbook, there's an entire section, as you'd expect, on assistance dogs, including education on the different sorts of assistance dogs that you might come across. Even though, of course, an assistance dog doesn't have to have themselves any ID or any special harness. It's made absolutely clear you have to take an assistance dog. I think it's sadly, ignorance and extremely short-sighted ignorance on what I hope is a relatively small number of private hire drivers that they think they can get away with this. We, of course, send reminders out and so on, and I hope that word gets round drivers that, X is no longer driving with Uber, or actually has lost their private hire driver's license totally as a result of this. But to Denise's point, it's obviously difficult for someone who is blind or partially sighted perhaps to know when the vehicle is turning up. At Uber, we do know when the vehicle's turning up because it's tracked by GPS, and that's why we will be notifying the driver in the app just as the vehicle is coming towards the pickup point, which we know where it is and we know when that moment is happening. No one should suffer that sort of discrimination, and I hope this is a really good step in the right direction. But look, as we launch it, I hope that as many people who have assistance dogs as possible select that in the app, and then we're going to monitor it and we'll learn it. I'll be able to see how many passengers with assistance dogs register it, and we'll look for these instances where there is nonetheless a cancellation, and we investigate it, and then we'll learn and improve from there. It's it's not a sort of one and done thing. It's a journey that we're all on.
Denise, quick reaction. You've heard Andrew.
Could I ask Andrew a really quick question? Yeah. If I don't register my dog with the app and then I get turned down by a driver, I still have the same legal rights, do I?
Absolutely. So there's absolutely no obligation whatsoever to register that you've got an assistance dog in the app. It's purely designed as a measure to improve the experience of those people that do have it. And I guess as we get evidence from its use, we can then hopefully see a significant improvement and then encourage other people who travel with an assistance dog to register. But no, your legal rights are your legal rights. End of story.
Last word, Denise?
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really reassuring. It's got so bad for me recently that Tilly's coming to the end of her working life now. She's 9.5, and I probably won't go for a guide dog for another cycle. I'm going to give my anxiety levels a bit of time to just level out, because this is something which makes me anxious on a day-to-day basis, and it can ruin a day out.
Right, but you are thinking, it sounds as if you're thinking, I'll give this a chance,
I've got another 18 months probably of working with Tilly. I'd love to give it a chance and see if it makes a real difference to our day-to-day lives. And that would be brilliant if it does. And I do appreciate that Uber are making a very, very real move towards making a big problem better.
Denise Lee and Uber UK General Manager Andrew Brem. And while we're on the topic of guide dogs, I must refer to the huge response we had to our item last week on the issue of people with no or very little vision waiting longer for a guide dog. There is clearly much more to be said on this subject, and your contributions are helping us to decide how to move the story on. Do keep your responses coming in. Now, following growing complaints from disabled people and their organisations that they rarely see themselves on TV, a number of popular shows have made attempts to engage with this by inviting guests and participants with a variety of disabilities onto their programmes, culminating, as far as visually impaired people are concerned, with what turned out to be the hugely popular appearance of comedian Chris McCausland on Strictly Come Dancing. He won, of course. But let's be honest, it's a tricky thing to get right, this, teetering as it often does between tokenism and genuine equal participation. And there's a tendency also to have people on who've already got a bit of a profile. Anyway, the latest show to throw its hat into the baking tray is the Great British Bake Off, which for the next series is actively searching for blind bakers. Joining me is Molly Midlane. She's casting producer of Love Productions, the company which produces the show for Channel 4. Molly, welcome to the programme. It feels like a very positive move, this, but here's a typical In Touch question to start you off. Why haven't you done it before?
Well, actually, we do outreach every single year to different disabled communities, and it's always been something that's important to us. But I feel like this year I'm really wanting to make a much bigger, more concerted effort to make sure that everyone feels welcome to apply for Bake Off, realising that perhaps there are communities out there that don't feel like they're able to, or that they might be excluded for some reason. So really, I want to just make sure that everybody gets the invitation loud and clear this year, that Bake Off really is for everyone, that no one should feel like the show isn't for them, or that baking on TV isn't something that they could do.
So how could the casting process and subsequently the tent be adapted so that a blind person or someone with a little sight perhaps will be able to compete on an equal footing?
Well, we've never had a blind or partially sighted person in the tent before, but we have had a few people take part in the audition process before. So we have been able to make adjustments so that people are able to take part in that process more easily. And actually this year on Bake Off the Professionals, which is another of our Bake Off brand programmes, we did have a professional pastry chef on the series this year who was blind. And so it kind of made us realise that it's certainly not impossible to make adjustments to make it possible for people to take part who have visual impairments. So obviously it's going to be a case by case thing with people who apply, and whatever their different accessibility needs are, we'd obviously be open to discussing them and making any adjustments that would need to be made. But I think things like, we could have recipes on iPads rather than printed so that people can use them with assistive technology, print instructions differently, label equipment differently, alter equipment. We've done things like have raised benches and lowered benches for people in wheelchairs. So I suppose we need to just have that open discussion and find out what people's accessibility needs are, and then hopefully we can make all reasonable adjustments to meet them.
Mm-hmm. And of course there is quite a lot of equipment that's been made for the purpose. People are sort of measuring jugs with markings, different ways of using weighing machines, for example. You'd be happy for people to come along and say, this is what I normally use, can I use that?
Absolutely, that would be not a problem at all. I mean, we usually give everybody the same equipment in the tent, but of course if people aren't able to use certain pieces of equipment, then it wouldn't be a problem at all for us to adapt whatever would need to be changed in the tent, and people could bring their own equipment in. We have people that bring in their, a special knife that their grandma used to use in the kitchen and things like that. So I don't see why we couldn't have different equipment for different people. It wouldn't be a problem at all.
So what kind of contestants are you looking for? I mean, there are a few professional blind bakers, but are you generally just looking for people who do it for fun or to spoil their families?
Well, I think everyone's family who's got a baker in the family is delighted, aren't they? But yeah, really, we always say when people apply that we're not looking for people who kind of want to be famous. We're looking for amateur home bakers who just have a real passion for baking and want to come and have fun and to share that with everybody, really. So yeah, that's what we're looking for generally.
Would you recognise the dilemma of sort of hovering between genuine equal participation and a bit of box ticking, if you like, or is that just me and quite a lot of other visually impaired people, to be honest, being old grouches?
No, I don't think so at all. I completely understand where you're coming from. I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because you want to make applications as accessible and as open as possible, but you don't want to feel like you're box ticking. I think, representation is incredibly important to us, and I think it's really important that we do reach out to individual communities to make sure that everyone realises that the application process, the audition process and the tent itself can be adapted, and that we're open to doing that. And I think as soon as this message gets out that, we want to be as inclusive as possible, then hopefully it means that everyone will feel more welcome to apply, and it won't feel like tokenism, and we will just get more applications year on year from people that perhaps have been worried about not being included in the past.
Actually, to be honest, quite often the most inaccessible part of the whole process of things like this is the application process. How can visually impaired people apply, and have you made any special allowances to save people grappling with online forms and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We always direct people to our website first, which is applyforbakeoff.co.uk. And the website has been designed with accessibility in mind. So it does support screen readers and keyboard navigation. And so people who use assistive technology should be able to use it.
What about the people who don't use assistive technology? And there are quite a lot of them, I have to tell you.
And I'm realising this as we go. So actually, we've also got an email address, which we'd be happy to hear from people who do have problems with the online application form. And that is just applyforbakeoff@loveproductions.co.uk. There's also a phone number if you don't want to go online at all. The phone number is 0117 465 8530. And if you call that number and ask to be put through to somebody on the Bake Off casting team, if it's easier, then somebody could go through the application with you on the phone as well. So, open to whatever helps and whatever makes it easy for people to apply.
And when's the closing date?
The closing date is the 15th of December. So quite a few weeks left, but we really recommend people get their applications in sooner rather than later. So, yes, you've got a little while to get practising.
OK, Molly Midlane, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for today. And as well as the Bake Off team, we'd like to hear from you as well. You can leave messages with your views on what you've heard, email in touch at bbc.co.uk, or your voice messages on 0161 836 1338. From me, Peter White, and producer Beth Hemmings, goodbye.
Scaffolding and Skips News, week commencing the 14th of November 2025.
In the Newport area, 1 to 8 Malthouse Court, Providence Corner Building, Pyle Street and Town Lane elevations, TUI, Post Office Lane and 19 C Street, and in the Newport area, Skips at 79 Medina Avenue.
In the Ryde area, St Mary's Catholic Church on 55 High Street, House of Zaber, 12 Union Street, 5 Weeks Road, the Star Inn on the High Street, Ryde Opticians on 40 Union Street, the ex-Barclays Bank on 7 High Street, 51 George Street, and the Bembridge Sailing Club in Bembridge. And the skips in the Ryde area are on 58 West Street and 59 High Street in Bembridge.
In the Cowes area, the Portland Inn, Worsley Road, Gurnard.
Shanklin area, the Nationwide in Regent Street and number 2 Esplanade.
And in the Ventnor area, Old Town Hall Court, Albert Street, and in the Sandown area, 52 Fitzroy Street.
In the Yarmouth area, the Old Town Hall in the Square.